Mr. Grown, if I can get your attention, we'll get started here, Big Daddy. Okay, I call our meeting to order. Mr. Steve?
Chairman Smith,
Here.
Mrs. Black,
Here.
Mr. Connor,
Here.
Mr. Doherty,
Here.
Mr. Grown,
Here.
Mrs. Haddon,
Here.
Mrs. Jones, Mr. Keene,
Here.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Here.
Mr. Slater,
Here.
Ms. Thomas,
Here.
Superintendent Dr. Robertson.
Here.
I think, Mr. Steve, that Ms. Jones was going to join us. She hasn't yet, but she's not going to join us? Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second. Motion approved, second. No lights. Roll call.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Grown,
Yes.
Mrs. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. Keene,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. Pledge and meditation. Ms. Dillard, Principal of Spring Creek Elementary. Thank you for coming.
If we will please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Good evening, Chairman Smith, school board members, Superintendent Dr. Robinson. My name is Christy Dillard. I am the proud principal of Spring Creek Elementary, where we strive to provide our families with quality service, focus on opportunities for our students, plan for their academic success, and build genuine relationships with our students and their families. I stand before you today with a deep sense of gratitude and appreciation for Hamilton County Schools. Hamilton County Schools is not just a place where students come to learn, but a place where dreams are built, where futures are shaped, and lives are transformed. Every day, we see our students grow into who they are meant to be. They are our future leaders, innovators, and change makers. Our students are full of potential, and it is through our collective efforts that we create an environment where they can thrive and experience a future without limits. At Spring Creek, I get firsthand experience at seeing students grow academically and artistically. I am inspired each day by their resilience, their curiosity, and compassion they have for one another. This doesn't just happen by chance. It is a result of the vision and support of this school board, district leadership, and the dedication of our teachers and staff, the partnerships we've built with their families and community. Together, we are creating a system that not only equips students with knowledge but also instills in them values of empathy, creativity, and perseverance. I encourage us all to keep dreaming big, to stay focused on what truly matters, and to continue believing in the incredible potential within the students of Hamilton County Schools. I thank you for your tireless dedication, your vision, your belief in what we can achieve together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dillard, and thank you for the great work you're doing out there at Spring Creek. Thank you. So we have some exemplars of excellence.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Dr. Robertson, members of the board. Hamilton County Schools is pleased to recognize recently recognized National Merit semifinalist students. The prestigious recognition of the National Merit Scholarship Corporation is based on their performance on the preliminary SAT, National Merit Scholarship Qualifying Test, the PSAT. Semifinalists named in each year's merit scholarship competition exhibit exceptional academic ability and potential for success in rigor college studies. I'd like to recognize the following students, and their principals are here as well, as being our National Merit semifinalists for the 2025 Merit Scholarship Competition. So we'll start off from CCA. Not all of our students are here, but we do want to recognize them anyway. We have the assistant principal from Center for Creative Arts, Ms. Tracy Frazier. Come on up, Ms. Frazier. And from CCA, it's Ms. Ella Davis. The next school is East Hamilton High School. We have Principal Eller is here. And so our first, I don't think she's here, but it's Alex Husky. Ayush Patel. And C. Ranga Redigari. Y'all stay up here. Come back this way, yeah.
And I'm sure Mr. Eller, good friend of mine, you helped tutor them to get,
No way.
Hours and hours of skiing.
All right, from Signal Mountain, we have Principal Carson, and we want to recognize Aoife Davis. And then another student could not be here, she's sick, but Hannah Yang. And lastly, we want to recognize two students from Soddy Daisy High School, and Principal Cass is here, and that's Emma Bramwell and Brody Holtz. So I just want to thank so much these students for representing Hamilton County Schools in a great way, and also want to recognize the administrators and the faculties that they lead. Thank you.
Can you just, so the public understands, and we want you guys to come up and let us personally congratulate you, but what do you got to do to be a National Merit Scholarship semifinalist? What does that mean?
A really great student. You're recognized nationally, and it's based off of your college entrance exams.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. You guys come up and let us touch you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. That's wonderful. So good to see you. Hi, congratulations. Congrats on your students.
congratulations on loss. Good to see you. Oh, I was not going. National Merit Scholarship students. Come up here for a group photo. I couldn't hold that. Miss Cat?
You guys stay up here for just a second so they can get a couple of photos, if you would.
I'm sorry, you know, Gary.
Getting a picture with
Wait, you're recording.
Thank you. Okay, I'll ask for a motion to approve our consent agenda.
So moved.
I believe you need your disclaimer statement first, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Steve, keeping me in order here. Mr. Grown just stepped out, but we'll come back to him. So, Mr. Slater,
Does not apply.
okay,
Does not apply.
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 Yeah, Mr. Chair, if I'm mistaken, I think it's just Caritza right now.
Okay, that's
So
all.
I think Larry's good too.
Remember last time it was about everybody.
Does not apply.
And
Keep us honest, Jackie.
and Mr. Groney, you don't have anybody that works the school system anymore, do you?
Does not apply.
Does not apply. Okay, now, thank you. So now I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll move again.
Okay, I got a motion, I need a second.
Now, if we want,
Okay,
okay.
got a motion and a second to approve. Any items to be pulled?
Yes.
Okay, which item would you like there, Mr. King?
7D1C, bids and contracts.
7D1C, okay? Any other items to be pulled?
Yes, Mr. Chair, 7D1D.
7D1D, okay?
And then I have a question about one, if I can ask
The one that you want to discuss.
that. A different one. It doesn't have to be polled, but I was, on 8A1, Dr. Robertson, it's the TISA accountability report.
That's not under consent
Okay,
items.
I just need to get
Okay.
a hard copy of
Okay? Okay, now, roll call, Mr. Steve.
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. King,
that. Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. Okay, 7D1C, Mr. King.
All right, so, and I am going to vote for this, but I just wanted to make a comment about it. So this is appropriating money for an amphitheater at East Hamilton High School. And again, I think, we ought to be doing that. My concern is, and this might sound like sour grapes, but when Central High School was built in 1974, at that time, the administration, the superintendent had to cut funding for the amphitheater that was supposed to be built there. And that was promised to them for 20 years that that amphitheater would be built. Now on that site, we have a portable building. But I just have a tough time when we're providing things for other schools, and Caritza's not here, just like the baseball field that's needed at Brainerd High School, and we're finally, I think, going to be able to get that, but it's been something that for 10 years they've been needing. So I'm just curious about the waiting line for certain things, and this was not promised by you, Dr. Robertson. This was promised actually by the outgoing superintendent and by the next one that took over from 1982 through 1994, 95.
Mr. Keene, if I was the superintendent in 1982, we'd all be in.
Yes.
trouble.
I'm just saying, though, this was at numerous
Yeah,
times.
I've heard that.
provide-
I've heard that story. I didn't
Yeah.
hear it was. I always thought it was a theater, not an actual amphitheater.
Yeah.
And
True,
I'll
theater.
say this, and you can say that like the line. Everybody's been in the line, and for numerous things. I mean, East Hamilton could point at they're the only high school that's ever been built that didn't have an athletic package.
Yep.
Right. And so they could look at Central Stadium and be like, how did that not get built for us? What I'm going to say, and I've said this pretty consistently for 2.5 years, is like we're going to press for schools to get what they need as much as they can and as often as they can. This board will never be able to solve the entirety of our facilities issues. But if we're talking about lines and you know who's getting what, I think we miss the opportunity for us to move this as forward as we
Right.
can. You know, and we've done a lot of, I would say across almost every district, you can point to something in the last couple of years that the board has done to support, you know, schools in every district. I hear you. I've heard that. I thought it was a theater, but
Yeah. And I guess where I'm heading with this is a comment that I'm going to end with, and that's we're getting ready to build new schools. We're renovating schools, and I know Tyner will be a good example. I hope that when we're finished with Tyner, that it will be the first school that's a completed school with everything that students need. And from that point on, that anytime we build a school, it will involve everything so that we don't have to have that waiting line. Thank you.
No lights, so,
No, no, my light.
oh, okay, now it's on. Go ahead.
I actually would like to offer Miss Ashley Henderson, who is here, to come and speak because she is the public person who has been behind this project at East Hamilton High School since 2020 and has worked to obtain $300,000 of this as federal funds that she worked with Sabrina Smedley and other community leaders to get well before me coming onto this board. And so, Ashley, if you don't want to speak, if you at least stand up so everybody can see the face who has been the hardworking community leader behind this.
Thank you.
Okay, Ashley.
One of the things we started thinking about an amphitheater outdoor was during COVID, and our school, East Hamilton, was trying to get these theater kids to be able to perform, and they couldn't perform, obviously, during COVID. So Alex Ford, our theater teacher, took them outside, made a rustic stage out of a trailer and a box truck with the back of the theater, and all the parents came out with their camping chairs and watched the kids still perform during the middle of COVID. So that's when we thought it would be great to have an outdoor theater that could be used for the community, as well as the school, as well as the kids, and as well as the elementary school and middle school just down the corner. So I'm real excited about it, and I know there's lots of needs in the school, but let's hope that this can be really used for the benefit of everybody in the community. So,
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your work. Okay, so I need a motion to approve 7D1C.
So moved?
Second.
No lights? Mr. Steve?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. 7D1D,
I'm
I
gonna
think,
withdraw that. I'm okay.
okay, well, since we pulled it, then we're gonna have to vote on
I
it.
make a motion to vote.
Okay, so I got a motion to approve 7D1D. I need a second.
Second.
I got a second. No light. Jody, you got a light. Ms. Schaefer? Okay. Okay, Mr. Steve?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. Okay, that takes us down to administrative business matters and our consideration of the TISA accountability report. I need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Second.
And I've got a motion and a second, and I've got a light on for discussion. Mr. Daugherty?
Thanks, Chairman. Justin, I know you and I spoke about this briefly with Shannon. And for everybody not aware, TISA is the new funding formula. And within that, there's a accountability report that we've got to submit annually to the state of Tennessee to more or less give an update on where we are as a district. And part of that is the expectation, albeit maybe far, is 70% proficiency. And what's the time frame, Justin, by that?
2030.
By 2030. So by 2030, they want 70% of the county at a proficiency rate for third grade. Currently, we're at a 38.8%. And I just wanted to talk about this because I think if you take a step back in terms of what a board does and how we support you in terms of the goals you're trying to accomplish across each individual school. This to me is just the bedrock of what exists within a good education. If we can't teach our kids to read, they're going to be behind for the rest of their lives. And as a father of four, going through it with my older two that have now been able to read thanks to the county and the wonderful teachers that Justin helps support.
And their mama.
And their mama. They've learned it, and it's no easy task, and there's a lot of anxiety with it. I know it's an individual thing when it comes to literacy. Each kid's different. Each kid has their own challenges. But really what I wanted to kind of encourage you and your team, Justin, as we look at this in terms of these annual reports is the reality is I'm assuming we've allocated specific funds to improve literacy rate. Would that be a kind of a fair assessment?
Yes.
Okay. So now we have a concept from a budgetary standpoint of kind of what we're allocating. We also now have a benchmark, and they're using, I think, 22, 23 year, which again is 38.8. What I would love to do is I'd love to say this time next year, whenever TCAP results come back, I'd like to really look at it more granular and say, okay, we spent 40 million, whatever the number is. I'm just using a ballpark number, and we improved X percentage when it comes to proficiency rate. Because I do think when you look at accountability with tax dollars, especially something that's important as this is something that we really need to strive harder. I know 70 is a big stretch, but I believe in you, I believe in these teachers, and I think we have an opportunity to lead across the state in terms of the way we approach early literacy. So I know I said a lot, but this is important. This is big time stuff when it comes to education, and just kind of wanted to make sure I was being heard on that.
Dr. Robertson?
So just to clarify about this report, and Mr. Doherty and I spoke about this, especially with him stepping up to be the finance chair. I think it's an important moment to point out that this report actually reflects more on what the previous board did last spring through the budget process. It's almost like a Cliff Notes version of like, you approve funding and every student learns this much, here's the strategy. As we go into the spring, I think it's the opportunity for new finance chair to kind of set a plan of action of how we get input from the community, what we want to prioritize, but then for board members again, and those of you that have been through it know this, but to give your input on what's important. Mr. Doherty and I had a long conversation that I think probably everyone would agree on, is that we need to focus on early literacy, K through 2, right? And so it's an opportunity for this board to say, okay, even if we want to put it under every student learns, let's pull that out specifically to show the community exactly what we're investing towards that initiative. And then this report next year will reflect the work that you guys are going to do this spring. So this is only the second time we've had to do it, but again, it more reflects last year's budgeting process and what we did. So I think Mr. Doherty's idea is a great idea and one that we can implement and make happen this spring.
Dr. Robertson, real quickly, just so the public understands, where does all that data come from that makes up this report?
Yeah, it all comes from the state. Now, we put in some data, like I think there's a place where we put in a little bit of benchmark data, but it's all coming from state assessments, right? And the 70, and I mean, I don't have to go into our conversation about what I think about that. It is a very lofty goal. Last year, I think there were seven or eight districts in the entire state that had above 70% out of 150 something. So 70 is an extremely ambitious goal. And so I've got my thoughts there, but the data's coming from the state. This is basically us. It's a transparency thing, in my opinion, from the state, is making sure that we're being transparent with how we budget, which we've always done. And this is a final step of making sure that we're being transparent by showing it to the public, you guys approving it, and then us sending it to the state.
Thank you.
And the last thing, sorry, Chairman, it is important to note that we are on average with the state of Tennessee. I mean, when you look at it across
A little bit above.
There you go. I mean, so it's not like we're doing anything terribly wrong. It's just this is something that has such far-reaching implications, and I think we all can agree that we all want to compete at the highest level. Our
That's right.
kids do, and I believe in this county. I believe in Justin. So thanks, Dr. Robertson, for your support on that.
Mr. King?
I was just hoping, so to put in a budget notebook for this coming spring, can we get a hard copy of that report? I know you sent it out on email, but I'd like, and I know it's like 9 pages, but if we
I'll
could
give you
get a,
mine.
oh, okay, well, that'd be great. I keep a folder with the stuff in it, and that's part of it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. For roll call?
Yes, sir. Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Groan.
Yes.
Mrs. Hadden,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
Yes.
Chairman Smith.
Yes. So it takes us down to board matters. We've got some board policies first read, and this might be a great spot to lean on our new policy chair. And so I know you have some thoughts and ideas, and you gave all of us a calendar. So just kind of all these policies tonight we won't be voting on, of course, they're first reads, but you're ahead of the game. So Ms. Policy Chair.
So we had a great policy meeting with Miss Shannon Moody and myself and Felice. And we discussed how policy has been coming to the board in the past. And policy meetings were the Monday before each board meeting, but there was a date on the top of each policy that says when it's supposed to be reviewed, but there wasn't a structure as to which policies are being reviewed. There wasn't a systematic structure. So to me, as a parent in the past year going through all the policies, it was very confusing. So we decided to maybe add some structure to how we review policy going forward. And what we would like to do is on the front page, you'll see that we're gonna do it quarterly. And it's gonna be published to you and to the public that we're gonna review all the policies in certain areas. So like fiscal management, instructional program, they'll all be reviewed in that March 13th, quarter 3. And so we'll review all of those at one time, which would give us more structure going forward as to what we're looking at. And the public has an opportunity to look at all of those policies that fall within those categories in that quarter and come to the policy meeting before. And it's not going to be the Monday before, it's going to be the week before, not the week of, so that we have more time to review and make any changes before we set the agenda for the board meeting. So you have the dates there, and on the back, you'll see the dates for the rest of this year. November 21st is going to be our first policy meeting, and we'll have the September and October first reads. And then December 19th, we're going to have the November first reads, and then we'll start our quarterly going into next year. It was too much to do the quarterly this year, but we're going to start that going next year. Is there any questions?
Thank you. This is awesome. And just a reminder to all of us, really, that we are all a part of every committee. So even though you may not be a chairperson or vice chair of a particular committee, we're all encouraged to attend all those committee meetings, whatever they may be. So Ms. Schaefer, Ms. Felice, thank you guys for getting this kicked off. I think this is excellent. Thank you so much. Okay. Takes us down to the consideration of our math adoption, high school math.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, just for the board's consideration, Mr. Freeman's going to come, or he's coming up. This is an adoption, and Mr. Freeman can explain it, but this was not available to us when we went through previous math, but I'll let him give you the kind of lowdown on it.
Yeah, so as you know, the state has us on an adoption cycle every 8 years now. We adopt new curriculum, and that rotates through different subject areas. In the spring of 2023, we brought to the board an adoption of math, and the board did adopt K through 12 math. The exception was the state had taken away a course, Bridge Math and Applied Mathematic Concepts, and replaced it with mathematical reasoning for decision making. And the state did not have a text that they were recommending available at the time that we approved. And so this year, we're in that course, and it was not until August, until the state gave us the option of here's the book that you could adopt. Dr. Paris, our high school teaching and learning director, convened the committee that was a part of the high school selection for the previous adoption, and they came together. They unanimously agreed after the review to adopt the text Thinking Mathematically, the 8th edition by Robert Blitzer. And so we're coming to you today to approve this adoption. We're not voting to purchase today. We're just asking for you to approve the adoption, and then we'll have to come together around the purchase of the text after we adopt.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Freeman? So I entertain a motion. You got a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I used to actually teach bridge math.
Yeah.
So about how long will it be before we could purchase, or, I mean,
So
would that come up next month?
We have to have an adoption by
Right.
you approved. And at that point, we'll talk with our Chief Business Officer, Mary Ellen, and then go through the proper channels to be able to make that purchase. Yeah, I don't know if we have a,
Yeah,
Time
at the
around.
earliest we could approve it would be November, November, right? Now, we need to hear from people. I think you've heard from some teachers already
Yes,
saying we
I
need this
did.
textbook. It's, you see the price, it's about a $360,000 price tag. We've already set aside in our fund balance textbook line that we could utilize. It's not for textbooks, and remember, everybody sees textbook adoptions and you think they're super expensive, but they're for 6 to 8 years, right?
Right.
So for that period, $360,000 is not a huge amount, but if we want to consider that, you know, feel free to give us input and we can bring it back for consideration in November.
Yeah, I know some courses are offered year-long, and I know some have struggled with having a curriculum, and I don't know if there are a lot of even standards online that align with it.
so our office, you know, we have a high school math content lead, and so they have been supporting these classes through our Canvas page, through pacing guides, pushing out tasks, but it is very helpful to ground us in an adopted text, as you probably know.
Right, so just the sooner the better would be
Yeah.
great if it's possible.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Freeman? So I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Need a second?
Second.
No lights? Roll call, Mr. Steve?
Mrs. Black,
Yes.
Mr. Connor,
Yes.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes.
Mr. Groan,
Yes.
Mrs. Haddon,
Yes.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mrs. Schaefer,
Yes.
Mr. Slater,
Yes.
Ms. Thomas,
yes,
Chairman Smith.
Yes. Okay, I'm aware of maybe just a couple mentions that we have here under, that I want to cover under board matters. I think, Mr. Connor, you had something you wanted to address?
Oh, thank you. I do. Sorry. Real quick, I'm holding in my hand the Tennessee School Board Association Southeast Fall District Meeting notes, and I wanted to commend Mr. Gary Keene on becoming a boardsmanship level 2. So congratulations on your hard work and training and getting all that done. Yeah. Recognized there, everybody needs to be recognized here.
Okay, thank you. And then, Mr. King, I understand you have a matter you want to briefly introduce there.
Yes, I will try to do this briefly.
Yes, please do.
If you're not aware, today is World Mental Health Day. They focused on school-age children. And Tennessee Code Annotated says that we will provide an education, a whole education, to the children. And that means if they're hungry, we feed them. If they're not healthy, we provide health benefits and insurance. And I'd like to commend our previous school board and our Hamilton County schools for taking the steps to address mental health, and the student support teachers that we have. Just a couple quick facts. Preteens, 1 out of every 4 say now that they have mental health issues. This is surveys they did with students. And 1 out of every 3 teenagers say they have mental health issues. Extending because of pressure of grades. pressure about their looks, pressure about having to know what they want to do in their future, and then throw in social media, which is gasoline on the fire. This particular group of teenagers have entitled their society as their grind culture, that school, and this was on national news this morning. It was a very interesting program. I just want to, again, thank the schools and the board for doing this, and really, we want people to understand we're putting out citizens, not students that score test results. And to do that, it takes all areas, including mental health. And I've had a few heated conversations with different people in the last week or two about we're overstepping our bounds by doing that, and we are not. Tennessee Code Annotated is now included, mental health is included in Tennessee Code Annotated. So I just wanted to mention that and congratulate Hamilton County Schools.
Okay. Thank you, thank you. Okay, events, announcements that are there, fall break. I know everybody's looking forward to that.
I think it's on the events, but I just want to mention the Mr. Keene, the 21st facilities meeting is a week from Monday. We'll have fall break next week. Dr. Sharp is going to be sending out some material for that, specifically the
SSC.
working group that was from August, and then what was approved in January by this board in terms of facilities. Then a couple of other things just to help you prep for that facilities meeting. So, yeah.
And that's at 5:30 on the 21st, which is a development day, that day, where our kids are running to school that day. And then takes us down to the 12th of November, will be our policy committee meeting that Ms. Schaefer's already spoke to, and then our November meeting on the 21st. Any other matters? Hearing none?
Oh, on the, so Ms. Schaefer?
Yes.
On this particular one, it says November 21st, but on this it says November 12th. Is it 12th or the 21st?
Let me look on my calendar.
Good
I think.
catch.
The way I read
It's
it
the
is.
12th.
It's the 12th, it says the 12th.
All right.
Policy committee meeting is here, and this is
Okay.
the board meeting where we vote on.
Oh, I got it. Yeah,
The
I'm
meeting's
sorry.
on the 12th.
I'm dyslexic. I looked at that backwards.
Okay. Anything else? Seeing nothing, we stand adjourned.